I read in a charity magazine of a little girl who was 9 months old called Glory being sold to a brothel. They literally keep the children until, look after them, care for them. They grow up in the red light district until they are saleable. Virgin children come at a real premium. And to give you a history on India as well, that area became with the British Raj there and the large amounts of the military being stationed in India, Kamatipura became what they call a comfort zone. And so the culture of it becoming a red light district was around it being a comfort zone for the military. This is not a new thing. This has been going on for generations.
You say you started off with somebody that took you under their wing. I'm sure there's other people along the way that have inspired you. And when you think about photojournalism or journalism per se, some stay in the mainstream, and occasionally you find people that step away from that because they're fascinated by the atrocities, the wars, the whatever may be going on around the world that may not be very normal from where they're from. And I suppose war zones is a good example of where some journalists go. It's risky from your life perspective, but capturing stories like that must be, really fascinating doing that job. What kind of stories along the way kind of started to grip you? What kind of things started to happen where you started to see things that maybe were a little bit unjust in the world or not right, and you felt you compelled to, or drawn to them?
Well, actually, the story which I would say has consumed my life the most is where it began. So I was doing a few assignments, kind of culturally interest stories, but the first assignment that really pierced my heart was going to India, and that was back in 2002. And that started because I read in a charity magazine of a little girl who was 9 months old called Glory being sold to a brothel in Mumbai. And I remember thinking...
Hold on, just say that again. 9 what years?
A
9 years.
A 9-month-old girl, a 9-month-old baby being sold to a brothel. And I was like, that can't be happening. That can't be true. And so contacted the charity to learn that there was a real culture of children being bought. So this child was a daughter of a prostitute. So in India, with a caste system, if you're a daughter of a prostitute, you don't really have you don't have options. Your only option really is to follow your mother into the trade. So her mother had actually died, and her father was so desperate, couldn't feed the baby, lived in the red light. So literally the child went up on offer for sale to the different madams and the brothel owners. And the charity heard about it because they had programs on the ground and locals on the ground, and intervened in the last minute and saved this girl. And so my journey started first in disbelief. This can't be happening. What do you mean that a baby's being sold to a brothel? But the reason the baby's being sold is they buy them when they're young. Literally, this is like, now remember, this child is being treated like a product to invest in. They literally keep the children until, look after them, care for them. They grow up in the red light district until they are saleable. And in Kamatipura particularly, virgin children come at a real premium. So some of these children are sold as young as 8, 9 years old. So the madam will keep that child and look after them and prepare them to be sold, but to become a sex slave, basically. And to just give you context, in 2002, Spencer, no one was talking about trafficking. No one was, this child was born into a brothel, so she was born into sex slavery. And to give you a history on India as well, which I've learned, sex slavery in this area in Kamatipura where I was, Kamati means trades area, tradesperson. And it was a trades area. Mumbai was a major port for the East India Company. And that area became with the British Raj there and the large amounts of the military being stationed in India, Kamatipura became what they call a comfort zone. And so the culture of it becoming a red light district was around it being a comfort zone for the military. And there's overall, and it's something that I don't think people talk about, but from me covering this issue for literally, we are looking at 19 years now, I've seen this trend of and it's well known in data and all the statistics and the reports and research that the biggest red light districts in the world today originally started where military are stationed. So, for example, Thailand and the Philippines is because people were stationed there around the Vietnamese War. The biggest red light districts now have a real history. So Kamatipura, you know, it's over 120 years old. It started, you know, and it still exists and thriving. But it's deeply embedded in the British history, because that's part of our history. And we even found memos just in my research over the years, you know, within military memos, where they're talking about procuring young girls, hiring local Indians to procure pretty young girls for these brothels. Now that's called trafficking. So it's embedded. This is not a new thing. This has been going on for generations.
Imagine if you and I could get 500 people together and say, right, and we all felt exactly the same. We got them into a conference room in a hotel and we said, right, this is the plan.
I think the first point is start where you are, whichever country you're in. So I believe, Spencer, we all have something in our hand. I'm just a photographer. I'm a storyteller with a camera. And I took my camera and I went out and I've told stories about stuff that gets me angry, where I want to see justice. I've just taken my skill. I'm not a researcher. I don't work for the police. I've just taken my skill to tell stories. I think my question would be to anyone listening is, what have you got in your hand? If you're an entrepreneur, can you get behind giving monthly to an incredible organisation? Spencer, you were telling me you're behind an incredible organisation that you're impassioned about. Get behind it. Do fundraisers. There are so many small organisations, especially at the moment. I would say go for the grassroots that really need support, especially coming out of this pandemic. See what you can do. I mean, we all can do something.
If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to see more episodes, you can click over here and get more. If you want to subscribe to the channel, though, and get the episodes as we produce them straight to you, click over here, press the bell button, and we will make sure that you get every single piece of content as and when it's made. I'll see you soon.